Hello, friends. This is another episode of the program Empire of Lies, in which we talk about manipulation and disinformation of the Russian media. Television liturgy of war. On Sunday evening, the Russian viewer once again found himself in the hall of collective hypnosis on the show of Vladimir Solovyov. This is not just a talk show, it is a ritual. Here, history is rewritten, religion is turned into a weapon, and Europe is again designated the main enemy. From the very beginning, the host uses the language of sacralization, a religious procession through Moscow, and immediately a parallel with the front, with the Russian salt of the earth. An underground temple and a trench, a single space where an Orthodox priest and a Muslim imam pray for a common cause. The message is transparent. Russia is not a state. It is a civilization of warriors that does not need laws, only strength of spirit. Europe as an eternal enemy. The main target is Europe. German politicians are called worthless. The EU is presented as a cowardly choir of eunuchs. Each thesis boils down to one thing. The West is hypocritical, weak, subordinate to the United States. Germany dared to talk about red lines. Solovyov responds with aggressive sarcasm. Who gave you the right? There is a special logic at work here. The more Europe talks about international law, the louder Russian propaganda ridicules the very idea of norms and rules. Double standards are used. Where are Europe's protests against the US strikes on Iran or Israel's strikes on Palestine? Religion as a justification for violence. The fusion of religious language with military mobilization is especially alarming. Simeon, talking about his illness and the order from the patriarch, turns a personal tragedy into a sermon on a strength of spirit. The stories of martyrs, Orthodox and Soviet heroes are used as the basis for justifying the current war. The key formula is, our main weapon is not missiles, but the strength of spirit. But this is precisely what justifies the endlessness of the conflict. If everything is decided by the spirit, then any losses are acceptable, and compromise is perceived as betrayal. This is also the Vladivostok Forum, and all this taken together has once again shown how much authority our president has today on the world stage and inside the country, how high it is. Because look at what actually happened today within the framework of the highway and China, the event of China. It was announced that today the countries that oppose this stupidity, this policy of rules, which you showed from the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Germany, he said that these are rules. And mind you, he contradicts what America is now saying. That is, he speaks in, let's say, the paradigm of the US Democratic Party and not what the current administration is saying. Europe as an alternative, Solovyov's propaganda is a mirror of fear. A country that has lost its future is looking for it in the past, in the cult of sacrifice and the illusions of a historical mission. Europe must offer another mirror of freedom, opportunity, dignity. That is why it is important not to remain silent. We must speak frankly. We see how Russian television is turning war into a religion and hatred into the basis of identity. This is not a special path. It is a dangerous trap for an entire nation and a threat to the entire continent. Today, looking at the religious procession of television war, Europe must understand. Before, it is not just propaganda, but an attempt to build a new cult where death becomes the norm and war a shrine. And if we want to preserve European civilization as a space of freedom, we will have to respond, not with shouting, but with steadfastness, unity, and the clear language of facts. You were on the program Empire of Lies. See you soon.